Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Xbox Casuals, the Xbox podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deergan. Alongside me, as always, is the really awesome video game by a company that Xbox shot down, Josh Finney.
Hi.
Hi, Josh. I'm referencing your shirt, by the way.
Oh, yes. I'm wearing my Hi-Fi Rush shirt. I love this shirt.
Yeah.
It glows in the dark.
It looks like it glows in the dark.
It does. There's paw prints along the shirt that also glow.
You know, Josh, my son has a pair of dinosaur pajamas that glow in the dark, and those paw prints also glow in the dark.
I was very excited. I love this.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey. It's been a week, as they say.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the Nintendo Direct today, Josh?
So, fun fact, I actually have not slept well at all for like 3 or 4 nights. So, I took a personal day today, and I was asleep during it.
Yeah, it's fine. You didn't miss anything except for some.
However, when I caught up on it, I actually really did like some what was announced. I was a fan. Got to see more Metroid Prime 4. Always going to be a fan of that.
Yeah, that Marvel side-scrolling beat 'em up looked cool too.
Yeah, I think the 3 Nintendo games that we saw were actually like really, really good. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, obviously. Still just slated for 2025, no definitive date. To me, that screams that if GTA doesn't come out this year, they'll release it. If GTA does come out, this will be a Q1 game. I think them being deliberately ambiguous about it is a thing. Also, like having it here and not at next week's event is a choice.
Well, I think they want next week to focus strictly on Switch.
Sure. And that's the conclusion I came to. It's just, man, it feels like this is just like typical Metroid shit that happens to it all the time. Like,
yeah, fair.
It is. We talked about this before on multiple other podcasts, but Metroid is a franchise that is loved by like just gamers in general, but it is not a profitable franchise for Nintendo. It never has been.
No, I think Dread was actually the first time it actually was.
Dread is the best-selling one, and it still sold under like 4 million copies.
Yeah, and it sold more than every other Metroid 2D game combined.
Yes. And it's so weird, like when you think about that. Super Metroid is frequently cited as like one of the greatest games ever made. Metroid Prime is very highly regarded. I have Fusion in my personal top 10.
Yeah, Fusion's good.
There's not the only bad Metroid game is Other M. Okay, let's just get that out of the way right now. That's the only bad one.
I didn't finish it, so
I played a little bit of it. I did not own a Wii U, but I was like, oh, hey, Team Ninja, Metroid, it can't possibly be as bad as everybody was saying. Oh, it was as bad as everyone said.
It was something.
It was bad. Rhythm Heaven? We got a new Rhythm Heaven. I'm actually excited for that. I like any type of game like that, so...
You know who else is excited? Edward Varnell.
Edward Varnell, who we will be discussing Nintendo Switch 2 news next week, so...
Yep, next Wednesday live.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, so far it's you, me, Ed, Stephanie, and maybe Laurent.
God, it's gonna be good. I'm excited. So it feels like the biggest news coming out of this, though. Like there were some games announcements coming to Xbox. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD. We got a new trailer for that.
Glad it's in a pack, like a dual pack.
Yeah. Oh, it needed to be. I'm sorry. Marvel Cosmic Invasion was the big win for me here.
Yeah, that game looks awesome.
That looks awesome. It very much looks like a 90s beat 'em up. It's from the same team to make Shredder's Revenge, so which we both really, really liked.
Yes. It was
I'm curious to see if this comes straight to Game Pass, considering Shredder's Revenge did and is still on there.
I wonder. Yeah.
But it's the Marvel license, so probably not, I would be willing to say.
Yeah.
Just on account of it being Marvel, but you know, hey, Xbox does have a relationship with Disney these days. Patapon, even though that's not an Xbox game, the Patapon game's coming to Switch was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool announcement. And Monument, I love Monument Valley. So very excited for Monument Valley to be coming to Switch.
Yeah.
And those will also come to Xbox as well.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't mention any of these Shin Megami Tensei remaster thing.
So I'm not a big SMT fan. I'm also like just kind of waiting to see what they do with those, because as of right now, I don't believe they're coming to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, ooh, they're not on Xbox, I'm not going to play them. Like Persona 5 Strikers never came to Xbox either. So,
Yeah.
uh, I haven't quite decided how excited I am for these. Like SMT5 is the one I'm going to try to get. It just had a free play day weekend, and I did not play it during that. I have it on my shelf. I just haven't played it yet. That might be my next game once I play some more Avowed, which I still really need to get back to. I've been sucked into 33 Immortals. But yeah, I think like SMT is a franchise that like historically when they announce these games, they tend to announce them like in conjunction with Nintendo events, it feels like.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why, but like they had the SMT Fire Emblem crossover, Tokyo Mirage
That
Sessions.
game is awesome. I love that game.
I almost bought it a couple weeks ago when I bought my Destiny PS4. They had the collector's edition of that game at the shop, and I almost bought it.
For Wii U.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have it. It's back there on my
despite not
shelf.
having a Wii U, I was going to buy it. It was not badly priced.
No. You can actually find that collector's edition pretty cheap.
Yeah, it was like 40, $50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Total.
the Xenoblade Chronicles X collector's edition is also relatively cheap
Um,
for Wii U. But
I think um I think it came to it came to Switch. That's the one that I need to pick up is the Encore edition.
uh-huh.
I want to pick that up and play it, but yeah, I think SMT is one of those that I feel like hasn't really gotten outside of its core audience of Nintendo and PlayStation fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally okay. I think they've got to be looking at this going, is it really worth it? Like maybe the play day that they just did for Vengeance is going to be one of the catalysts. Like we've seen they can bring stuff way further down the line. It happened with the Yakuza Like a Dragon series.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised. They have a very cozy relationship with Sega these days.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to Game Pass. Wouldn't surprise me if, during the summer, maybe during Summer Showcase, like, oh, hey, we're bringing a whole nother collection of Shin Megami Tensei games, including SMT5 to Game Pass or something.
Yeah.
Also, here's Persona 6. Like, Persona
Mm-hmm.
6 feels like it should be the biggest layup, like, ever
Mm-hmm.
for a third-party game at this point.
Yeah.
Going into Summer Showcase, but we do have some Persona news later on I want to get to.
Yeah.
Just to kind of wrap some thoughts on the Switch Direct this morning. I know it's an Xbox show, but I really wanted to talk about this. The biggest news for me was the game sharing.
Yeah. That was
That's
pretty
huge. That's pretty much what Xbox wanted to do 13 years ago.
big. Mm-hmm.
And we're
Yeah.
finally at a point in us as a society and as a gaming culture where we're ready for it.
Yeah, this is also good for like my kids are really starting to get in the games now, right? And I have two Switches and they'll probably end up, I'll probably just hand them down to them when the Switch 2 comes out or
Right.
like, find a Switch Lite used somewhere for one of them and
Mm-hmm.
like this will be great when like for like Mario Kart and Mario Party and stuff like to play remotely or on the way to trips or anything. So
Sure.
uh
And I
yeah.
believe that I didn't read all the details on it, but I do believe it's limited to two people can share the license for one game. Is that
Mm-hmm.
I read
Yep.
that correctly? I think
Mm-hmm.
if you buy the family plan, it's different,
Uh,
or is
I,
that as part of the family plan?
no, I think the family plan. I think it's still one for the family
Because I
plan.
know they said
They,
that there's going to be more details coming in April about it.
yeah, they did show three people on the family
Yeah,
plan though, and they were all sharing a game. So I'm not sure. Um,
I mean, for me, I just need to be able to share it with my partner.
mhm,
But we're really excited because I got tired of buying two copies of games. That's part of why we were still buying physical games. This honestly will
mhm.
probably kill me buying any more physical games for the Switch unless it's a collector's edition.
Yeah, I actually been thinking about cleaning out my Switch collection to be honest. Mostly because that Switch 2 is probably going to cost at least $400, and
I
yeah,
400 I feel is conservative at this point. I feel
mhm,
like if it meets, and of course we'll know the specs next week. If the specs are reported what it is, I would not be shocked to see this go a little bit higher. But
yeah,
400 feels like the safe bet right now.
yeah,
The first one came out at 300, I think.
yeah, $299. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I was trying to remember in my mind because I spent like $600 that night
Yeah, I did too.
between the Switch, the Master Sword version of Breath of the Wild, getting all of the Zelda amiibo that came out, and buying a God, buying the Pro Controller day one was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I've never put my Joy Cons in the holster to use. I only did it once to see what it looked like. I was like, oh, that's neat. And then like when I only had one Pro controller, and other people wanted to play, like used it. But
I mean I like the Joy Cons. It's just God, the biggest thing you have to do with these new ones is the stick drift. The stick drift has to go away.
mhm.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's real bad, and Nintendo's been really bad about replacing them too.
Yeah,
But I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. There's brand new functionality with them. That we saw the C button today.
yeah,
That got accidentally revealed through Nintendo's little news app. That was
mhm.
funny.
Yeah.
But
Well,
overall, yeah. Like I don't know what I expected from this, but it wasn't really a bang. It was more of a whimper.
yeah. I mean,
So
I think they just wanted to. I this what I was telling Laurent and Stephanie earlier. I just said this felt like obligatory direct
yeah.
for partners to say that their games are coming out soon.
And not only just that, but also I think that Nintendo showing three games of their own here, even though it's two of them that we knew were still coming for the Switch One, is important to tell Switch One owners, hey, if you can't get a Switch Two right away, you're
Hmm.
still going to get to enjoy some of these games.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's cool, but overall, I
I
next week is way more exciting to me, which we kind of got some details about that this week. That it seems like next week is, as it should be, is going to be very first party heavy.
Yeah, which is also something that we've speculated for about a year and a half now. Is that first party is full steam ahead on that thing? So
I would caution anybody who is expecting like just an onslaught of games next week to temper
uh,
their expectations.
yeah, I would say most of it's going to actually be technical
Yep.
specifications of the
Yep.
console,
Yep. Yep.
price, release date, maybe show off. I
I think
I would say
you will
maybe
probably get 4 games shown.
I would say maybe three first party games, and then like maybe a handful of indies and maybe third party ports at launch. But that, I mean, I would say max like 10 games max, and that's
So
being
I
optimistic.
would infer based off what we saw today.
Hmm.
I think that you're probably gonna get at least 3 or 4 first party games next week,
Hmm.
which are just the easiest layups to predict ever. It's Mario Kart 9, it's 3D Mario. Uh, Take your pick of what else you think is going to be there, and you'll probably hit something. I wouldn't be shocked to see something Splatoon announced.
Yep.
And I think some kind of fighter is going to be there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Smash Brothers. Even though Sakurai seems to be gearing up for something, I don't think it's Smash Brothers.
It's I think he's done with Smash for a while. Plus, like
So
I think
I
we're
would,
gonna. I
I
actually
think
think we're
that
gonna get like an Ultimate Edition with like all the
probably
DLC characters.
that wouldn't shock me. I think you'll probably see it like as a Switch 2 edition, like upgraded visuals and frame rate and shit like that.
Hmm. Maybe
They're
some
good.
more Echo characters down the line, right? That
Yeah, you could
seem.
do things like that. I don't think they're done with it, but they're also not going to abandon that user base back on Switch One.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think that Sega is here in some way, mainly to announce Metaphor and Persona 3 Reload ports.
Yeah, and
Again,
I
those
think
we've known
that's
those have been in the works for like 2 years.
yeah, I think that Sonic Racing game is probably coming to Switch too. Also.
Probably. I'm just like trying to think like if you're revealing a console, like you're gonna want heavy hitters. Both of those were Game of the Year nominees last year from a lot of outlets.
Hmm. Yeah.
I would expect maybe one of the Sega like new gen games that
Hmm.
we've seen of their revised IPs. Maybe one of those is here. The only one I honestly I could see Crazy Taxi being the one to show up. Crazy Taxi was a GameCube launch game back in the day, and I think Jet Grind Radio is the one that a lot of people are waiting for. That's at Xbox if it's anywhere.
Yeah.
It's got too much of a history, but they've done a good job at showing other games. I think Microsoft is there. We've predicted that for a long time. Even if it's just to be like, hey, Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush 1 and I don't Forza Horizon 5 are all
Mhm.
coming to Switch 2 at launch or in the launch window. Boom, there you go.
Yeah, that'll be in like one grouping probably.
Mm-hmm. The thing that would break the internet is if the Master Chief Collection does get announced, which
Yeah.
we've heard conflicting reports if it's going to be announced here or at some point this year. Maybe Microsoft announces it at their own event.
I think it's going to be announced at their own event.
I think it'll be announced at their own one too, and I do think it will line up with, they won't announce it until they've confirmed that CE Remake is coming.
Yeah.
But if that does, and I don't think Nintendo wants that at this particular event.
Mhm.
Sea of Thieves and all that, and Forza is fine. Like, Forza will be a big announcement, but that's
Mhm.
fine because they don't have a game like Forza on the Switch.
Right.
Halo would break the internet though, because that's Xbox's biggest franchise going multi-plat.
Yeah. I think
I
I
think a
actually
Gears collection is more likely than Halo.
yeah,
And
but
even that
I
I don't
think
think gets announced here. They don't want it overshadowing their own stuff. And that
yeah. And I think
Master
that's
Chief
the big
collection
thing.
borderline would.
I think that's the big thing, right? Is like
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo wants to reveal Nintendo at this thing, right? And maybe a couple third-party games that would make sense, but like they're doing this before the summer or event season, right? There's going to be another direct during the summer. There's going to be
Yep.
the Summer Game Fest and Xbox,
This,
summer
this I think
showcase.
has to just be like the launch lineup and like showing that there is immediate big third party
Yeah,
support.
there'll be a fancy like infographic of here's all the companies supporting the Switch 2.
Yeah, I think you got to show something though, because that was one of the biggest things about when Switch One got announced was we were like, are there actually going to be third party
Hmm.
companies supporting it? We talked about it before that Skyrim was the first one revealed.
Hmm.
And that was huge. Even though
Hmm.
Skyrim was, 5-6 years old at that point, it was like, oh my god, Skyrim is coming to Nintendo. This
Yeah.
is massive.
Hmm.
That's a big step forward. Maybe they get EA to show something here, even if it's just announcing that, hey, now that the specs are bigger, we can come out and we can start bringing these over and not have these shit ass versions of EAFC
Hmm.
and 2K saying, oh well, NBA 2K, and it's no longer like something that looks worse than an iPhone game
Hmm.
coming over that's completely shameless.
Hmm.
Yeah, even something like that would be big.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what happens. It's going to be fun next week.
Yeah. So I do have one thing to say about this Switch thing today that nobody's talking about,
What's up?
apparently. And Hot Shots Golf. Everybody's golf.
Oh,
PlayStation.
yeah, very, very excited.
A
I
PlayStation
love
game on this
Hot
thing.
Shots Golf and everybody's golf. Yeah, I'm excited for this. This on the go because Mario Golf on the Switch did not do it for me.
No, Mario Golf on Switch was not
Which is a
very good.
shame because I heard nothing but amazing things about the 3DS one.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit bummed out about that.
Yeah, I think most of the Mario sports games on this generation have kind of felt like kind of empty, to be honest. I mean, tennis had that kind of campaign thing going on, but it was still not very good.
It was not very good, he says. Yeah, I also just not a fan.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's
Here's the
sad
one.
it's sad when your best Mario spin-off games are Mario Party. That's all I'm gonna say.
Which is just a weird turn of fate for me. Um, the aforementioned Shin Megami Tensei game you were talking about, Redo Remastered, as a matter of fact, is coming to Xbox. I was not paying attention. That is in fact coming to Xbox. So that's a spinoff that more aligns with Devil Summoner.
Yeah.
So, again, Devil Summoner spun out of Shin Megami Tensei.
Right.
So pretty excited.
Yeah.
I will play this game, but I don't know when. Because let
Right.
me tell you something, Corey. We're
Tell
jumping
me
right
something,
on.
Josh.
We're jumping right on into it. To transition out of the Switch talk, there has been a leaked domain for
Oh
one of
no.
my favorite games of all time coming back. If you
Uh,
played anything from Atlas last year, you knew this was coming eventually. There's been a lot of rumors about it. A domain name for Persona 4 Remastered has been spotted.
jeez. Okay.
P4re.jp was registered last week by Atlas. 2 years ago, P3RE.jp was registered, and 3 months later, Persona 3 Reload was revealed at the Xbox conference. Or, if you remember more infamously, on Instagram by Atlas West.
Yeah.
We knew that this was going to come eventually. There was a leaker that talked about it last year. That person's credibility has like really been called into question though, because of how they got said information. And most of the community has just shunned this person at this point.
Mm.
But this was rumored last year. I don't think any of us expected it to potentially come out this year, though. I think we all had this pegged for a 2026 release. I think it still will be. I want to be totally clear. I think this is probably going to launch in that, March, April timeframe, early next year. They seem to really love that. My problem with Persona 4 getting a remake, and don't get me wrong, like Golden still holds up to me, but it is very clearly a PS2 game.
Mm-hmm.
Golden is the Vita version. I should remind everybody of this. We are technically playing a Vita version of Persona 4, which is a PS2 game. Golden is the definitive version of this game, blah, blah, blah. I have problems with this coming out if it comes out before Persona 6. It has been almost 10 years since Persona 5 Vanilla came out. And then Royale took several years to come out, which, I mean, Royale is maybe one of the best re-releases of a game of all time. It is certainly better than base Persona 5, I'll tell you that right now. So this does raise some questions for me, like, okay, you're going to have to replace the entire voice cast most likely. Like, Yuri Leventhal is not going to go play, a 14-year-old again. Okay, just straight up.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic for this. This game did need a bit of a facelift, but Golden's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as drastic of a change as like Persona 3 Portable to Reload. That was such a massive change because you're essentially taking a visual novel in a lot of ways and turning it into that, but with the Persona 5 style of exploration and things like that. So I'm a little curious to see how this will play out. Persona 4 does it. I don't think it does use procedurally generated dungeons, but not nearly as bad as Tartarus in 3. So I'm curious to see what happens there, or if they like need to add another dungeon at some point, or whatever. This could be really, really cool. This could be really, really bad. If this gets announced with no Persona 6, then I would be much angrier.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is announced, like, say this gets announced at Summer Game Fest, and then like 3 days later at Xbox's show, it's bam, Persona 6, or like vice versa, then I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Just you cannot announce this without announcing another mainline game. You can't give us another spinoff. So help me God, if we get another fucking dancing game, I might actually commit a crime.
Where are they dancing this time, Josh?
I don't fucking know, and I don't care. And I say that as someone who really doesn't mind the Persona 4 one because it actually had a storyline to it. It works as like a de facto sequel in a lot of ways. Did not bother me. It was more of an excuse to spend time with the investigation team, whereas like 3 and 5, those definitely were an attempt to get money and that failed. So I say all that to say this is potentially really big. That is one of the most beloved JRPGs of the last 20 years. Interested to see, like, a lot of people I talk to have this as their favorite Persona. So yeah, you're taking a risk by doing this, but at the same time, man, it's been really hard to convince people to go play that game just by how old it looks.
Yeah.
It still plays good, but it looks fucking old.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think a lot of those older games have kind of found, like, when they find new life, they've been either, kind of remastered, like the way that the like Dragon Quest and the HD 2D games are, or like Night Dive also has done a decent job of kind of modernizing classic games. But like, yeah, you look at Persona, it's like, oh man, this is yeah.
I mean, Atlas has 3 teams. They have P Studio, which is full steam ahead on Persona 6. Mm-hmm. They have Studio Zero, which is working on, just did Metaphor. That was, of course, made by the veteran teams from 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. And then you have the other one, which is really more the Shin Megami Tensei team. What happens with a lot of these ones, like the Ryu spinoff that we just talked about, and like Vengeance and things like that is that they are really like more overseen by Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
Unicorn Overlord last year is a great example of this.
Yes.
So I wonder if this would still be made in house or not. Persona 3 Reload was largely done as a way to get that team more comfortable with using Unreal and trying to see how it would work transferring uh, Persona's style into Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe Persona 6 is still being made on their internal engine. I believe. I don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure, but I do believe that is what I was hearing last. Um, but yeah, really, really exciting news there. I think that's going to be really cool. Uh, Interested to see if they bring that straight to Game Pass, because with how good Reload did, despite being on Game Pass, Reload still had their best sales ever of a game within the first week, and then Metaphor blew that out of the water not even 6 months later.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if they'll follow that approach, or if it'll be like, oh hey, we're gonna give you DLC for free, because that, I'm sure they lost money on that, but Microsoft probably paid them a ton. That was a
I'm
whole ass
sure.
expansion. It
I'm
was a
sure
whole ass
Microsoft paid for
expansion.
that.
And if
I'm
it's anything to go by, like, yes, Xbox is probably the platform where these games are going to be played the least, but goddamn, they're doing something right over there, because Xbox players just seem to love these games now.
And that's good though.
That's
I
very
mean,
good. That's very good news that Xbox fans have latched onto Persona and Like a Dragon the way that they have,
yeah.
considering how beloved those games are overseas, and they took a while to gain traction here. You know, the studio boss of the Like a Dragon team said, you know, hey, a whole big reason that we are as popular as we are in the West now, we credit to Xbox Game Pass.
Mm.
We credit to being on that service. So I expect the partnership to continue. You're never going to see anything like Persona 6 come day one, but I think something like Persona 4 Remastered would be something that could show up. Another rumor that was going around last year was that this is the one that excited me more, is that 1 and 2 are being not remade but remastered to release on uh, current consoles, because those, the last time they were made available was the PSP.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a PSP and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go play these games, hold up right there. Those games sell for hundreds of dollars at resale shops just for the UMD disc.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid you find it in an actual box, it's going to be even worse. So, because I mean, that was well before they were popular in the States.
Yeah.
That was around the time that FES for Persona 3 would have been coming out on PS2. So,
Mm-hmm.
that being said, still excited, still wanting to check that out. But we'll see. Our next story, Corey, this is one that I think excites you.
Oh boy.
We have, tell me where you've heard this before. We have a Sea of Thieves crossover with Destiny 2.
I know. I saw that today. I thought it was fake at first.
This leaked. This leaked last week, and I thought it was fake when somebody sent it to me, so I didn't bother posting it to any groups that I'm a part of.
Mm-hmm.
This is in fact real. Making Drifter the skin you can get is just genius.
Yeah. I mean, who else? You know.
It's genius. There are 3 different ships, one for each class that you can get. There are sails that you can get that are ghost themed, and then there's 4 weapon skins as well here.
Mm-hmm.
The one that excites me the most, I think, is that the pistol is the Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
The sniper rifle is Whisper of the Worm. The cutlass is Ergo Sum, and the blunderbuss is Lord of Wolves.
Nice.
I don't play Sea of Thieves much anymore, but I 100% want to go buy this bundle just because I think this is fucking cool.
Yeah, I was like, man, I don't play Sea of Thieves at all, but
this actually got me interested in Sea of Thieves for the first time in a very long time. My partner plays a lot of Sea of Thieves. She has since left Destiny behind.
Mm-hmm.
But she still loves the franchise, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm buying all of this. I'm buying all this immediately." The cannons look like the fucking elements. It's great. There's a nice little teaser video up on Xbox Wire about it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's ready right now. I think it's out today.
I mean, that's the way to announce it, though, right? I mean, it's out today. Should go
But
play it.
yeah, and there's a drifter emote in it. This is great.
Yeah, I
This
like
is
the big
fantastic.
ghost flag that you can put on your boat.
I like the big ghost flag. You can put the ghost as the masthead too.
Yeah,
This is really cool. This is the first time that I feel like I've seen Destiny in a game where I've gone, okay, this kind of makes a little bit of sense. Like we made fun of it showing up in Valhalla because those were the best models we've ever seen of Shaxx and Saint 14, but it just made no sense.
I know. I forgot about that.
There was the For Honor crossover, which we were like, why is this happening? I think I'm more surprised that this is happening because it's an Xbox game.
Yeah,
It's an Xbox game with a Sony owned property. This really surprises me. And we can't even use the excuse of, oh, well, this was clearly in the works before the purchase, because the purchase was like 4 years ago.
right.
So this is cool. I think this is just, it's two franchises I really, really like. It's not oppressive or anything like that. It's, hey, if you want to go spend money on this, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Sea of Thieves has always been good that way, though. They've always
yep.
been respectful of your money.
I feel that way for the most part. I think some of the microtransactions can get a little pricey, but hey, if this is your live service game you're playing, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I don't actually mind it. They have the plunder pass now, and just a cool little thing. I thought to myself, man, I really wish that they would have saved this and shown it at Summer Showcase, but I don't think there's any way in hell that Sony would have let them do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a game that's also available on PlayStation, and we've talked about it before, how insanely popular this game was on the PlayStation charts.
Yeah.
Like this went from a game that should have been shut down to it is maybe the biggest Microsoft success story of the decade. And it has established itself as like this cornerstone franchise. The director of Sea of Thieves, I believe, was recently responding to somebody on Twitter or Reddit and basically saying, hey, it's our anniversary of the game, blah, blah, blah. We have plans for this game for the next 5 to 10 years.
It's crazy.
We want to keep supporting this game. I mean, dude, it makes them money hand over fist.
I know.
I think Xbox is like, sure, but please, can you get working on a single player game for us?
Can you get Everwild out since you announced it 6 years ago?
Where is Everwild? Is it okay? Is it all right?
Stop building your trucks and banjo nuts and bolts and get back to work.
I am very excited for this. This is a cool little thing. But speaking of PlayStation, Corey, these things are just lining up themselves. I love it. Xbox is absolutely dominating the PS5 charts right now. In the top 15 games for pre-orders right now on the PlayStation 5, 5 of them are Xbox games, including 2 versions of both Forza and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Which is just really, really wild. And it's not just in the US, it's in every region. Every region is doing this. Reset Era was posted about it. And I should note, in a US PlayStation store, according to The Verge, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and Forza Horizon 5, the premium $100 versions of these games are the best selling. That doesn't surprise me for Forza. That floors me for Indiana Jones.
Well, you get the Last Crusade costume pack, Josh, and the Lion Whip.
I think this is just wild to me. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, of course, comes out on PS5 on April 17th with the premium access on the 15th. Forza Horizon 5 is arriving on the 29th. Just fucking wild to me. Fucking wild.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
It's crazy, but this is exactly what they want.
Yeah.
This is exactly what Microsoft envisioned. Tom Warren goes on to say here, CFDs debuted on PS5 in April 2024, and Sony revealed it was the top seller across US, Canada, and EU. A month later, it remained in their top 10 list for 6 months.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy, and I had reservations, and I still think that how they announced Indiana Jones coming over was absolutely atrocious and should never be repeated. But man, do you think if Microsoft knew the reception that game was going to get, that they would have held off on putting this out for as long as possible? Maybe timed it to come out in like September or October to remind people that it did not qualify for Game of the Year from several outlets because of the cutoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah,
you
I
think
think
they
I
would
would have.
maybe held it?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I think they would have just milked it. Forza, there's no bad time to launch Forza. People who were upset about Forza coming over, let me tell you something. It's not like they're dropping Forza day and date, although I do think that will happen in the future at some point.
Yeah.
The fact that this game is so high on the pre-order list, though, the premium version, and it's been out for 3 years now,
Yeah.
3.5, almost 3.5, just speaks volumes to how Forza is regarded in the larger gaming world.
Yeah.
Because they announced, they didn't announce it, but it is pretty much been investigated by players that it is estimated to have had 44 million unique players to this point in its life. Obviously, making it far and away the most played Forza game, Forza Horizon game.
Yeah.
And that's despite it being on Game Pass. That's despite it, not being on PS5 yet. It's surely going to soar past the 50 million mark once it hits PlayStation.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even surprise me if it got up to 60. And you got to remember, everything on PS5 for it is going to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this was a game that when we looked at the people who were playing this in early access, there were several million. And to play it in early access, even through Game Pass, you had to buy at either the $100 full version, or you had to buy the $50 upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person I know who played this game or who has played it to date bought the premium version. Now, granted, they played it through Game Pass, but that's still $50 that they were paying for, or 45. Excuse me, we got our Game Pass discount. $45 still they were collecting. You amplify that by a few million, and I mean, hey, that's the sales of a normal game if you're lucky, of a normal AAA game. So yeah, that's pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
Forza is a money printing machine, and Horizon is the one that actually gets it right. The switch happened last generation between which one's really the premium version of Forza. Is it Motorsport or Horizon? It's Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think Forza Motorsport would do numbers on PS5? Sure.
Yeah,
but
they have
Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Which is not without its own problems. But still, that's why I do think the current Forza Motorsport probably will come either later this year or sometime next year. I anticipate it coming over. That has not done the numbers it needed to on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
But they've made a lot of strides to make it better since launch, from everything I've heard. I'm not a big sim racer. I prefer something like Horizon or Need for Speed.
Right.
So, yeah, super thrilled for this. Playground has to feel great seeing this. And also, Machine Games. Machine Games has to feel so much validation right now. They released a Game of the Year contender, and they're finally getting they got recognition with their first Wolfenstein game, but it seemed like they didn't really get a lot of credit for Old Blood or New Colossus. And then, of course, we all know how Young Blood went.
Yeah.
So it's now they got Indiana Jones, and they had to prove to people that Indiana Jones was going to be good. People are like, ugh, an Indiana Jones game? We have Uncharted. We have Tomb Raider.
Right. And then then people started scrutinizing it for being first person, including me,
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would
noted hater Corey?
Yeah. Why would you make Indiana Jones a first person game? But
yeah, God, the result is arguably the Game of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
If Metaphor didn't come out, this would have been my Game of the Year.
I mean, I will 100% admit that I was wrong about the first person thing, right?
Sure.
That was my biggest fear, right? So, as somebody who loves Indiana Jones,
yeah, Corey is the biggest Indiana Jones fan that I know by far. So if it's got his stamp of approval,
Yeah.
We've played a lot of bad indie games in our lives.
Yeah. A lot of. Yeah.
We frequently cite Emperor's Tomb because it's about the only one we can cite.
Don't forget the Staff of Kings for Wii.
Never played it.
Josh.
Never played it.
You don't need to.
It's pretty bad when we have to point to a 2003 Xbox game and to some Lego Indiana Jones games as like the best things that we've gotten.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Lego game.
So it's been a rough go for us over the years, but thankfully we're finally coming out of it.
Yeah.
Looking to see what else. Where do I want to go next with this?
Fun fact: no reference of no reference of Nazis in the Lego games.
Yeah, gee, I wonder why.
They're just the bad guys.
I wonder why. It leads to what's that show? Somebody he goes, "What's a Nazi?" And the adult is trying to explain what it's The Office. Michael Scott's like, they're just Nazis, and the kid goes, "It's the day take your child to work day." What's a Nazi? And Dwight starts explaining to him what the Nazis were a fascist movement. Don't tell the kids about Nazis. God, that's how I feel with this.
Yeah.
All that aside, let's get into our next story here. All right, we got to go with this one. I probably should have led off with this because it was big, but it's been a while, so I kind of forgot about it. Microsoft posted a UI concept last week showing Steam on Xbox before they hastily removed it.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this was one of the funniest possible things that could have been shown. It came out during GDC. They showed a new Xbox UI across multiple devices. Once The Verge asked them about seeing a Steam tab, though, they deleted it very quickly. Not before screen grabs were made, though. On this new graphic, it says opening a billion doors with Xbox. You see the X and S there. You see what clearly looks to be, a TV screen. You see, it looks like a Mac. It's probably not meant to be a Mac, but it looks like a Mac. A tablet, a smartphone, the ROG Ally front and center. If you zoom in on the games tab on the TV, though, it shows, and this is how we knew it was a mock-up and not finalized, right? Because it says recently added, installed, owned, Game Pass, Steam, owned. So they have owned twice on there. But this is part of what they are wanting to do with Play Anywhere and this and that. Sources familiar with Microsoft plans tell The Verge that the company is currently working on an Xbox app update that will show every game you have installed on your PC, including games from Steam and Epic Game Store, and Microsoft will be labeling these games accordingly. I'm told Microsoft is still in the early stages of the Xbox update, so the company may never ship this feature to list all your Steam games, but the mocked-up image shows how they will show up, how they plan to show up eventually. Xbox chief Phil Spencer has previously hinted PC stores like Epic and Itch could one day arrive on Xbox consoles. We know this is going to happen. We know this is going to happen. GOG has a similar system. I fully anticipate this being a feature. And I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Like, if this is not something they announce at the summer showcase, I'd be floored. I think I don't like announcing hardware and UI updates at something like that. This is so big, though, that if they could walk out there on stage and say Steam, Epic, and Itch are now available to be listed inside the Xbox app, that would be big. Maybe they save that for their like expanded showcase or something that they do on like the Tuesday or Wednesday after. Maybe they save it for that. Either way, I think it gets announced in June, because they're going to want to make that push. They're going to that is something that they can have that the Switch doesn't have, and that the Steam Deck doesn't have.
I mean, and PlayStation doesn't have.
Well, I mean that one went without saying. I wasn't even going to bring that up.
How do you think? How do you think they would?
Like
how do you think they would respond to that since their games are on Steam?
So supposedly, people with inside knowledge of the matter have said that Sony will, because there was speculation about it after this, that Sony will probably block games, and supposedly, of course, within Sony, within SIE, says that they don't particularly love this, but they're not planning to block those games. I think it's because they realize, like, well, shit, so many Xbox games are on PlayStation right now that if we did this, we would look like gigantic dicks.
Oh, as opposed to like the crossplay stuff they tried to block, or
Right, but like this would get so much
No, I
media
know.
attention though, like
Yeah,
way more than that. That was over and done like in a week. This would not go away.
yeah, no, it wouldn't.
After the gigantic olive branch, like I would even be willing to make the argument of like, well, okay, I get it. Like none of Microsoft's like premium franchises are over there, and they're dropping Indiana Jones, Forza Horizon 5, and they already brought CFDs over. If it was just like, oh, Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded, then okay, fine. We're still feeling this out. No, they're fucking full steam ahead over here. Like you can't do that. Like Microsoft has dropped maybe their biggest chip other than Halo with Forza coming to PlayStation.
Yeah.
So just like get ready. And honestly, Microsoft just seems to be like trying to stake their claim in this space because this is the way that the wind is blowing, and they're seeing that.
Yeah. And
They're
they've always
they're
been
ahead
there.
with that with the handheld too. So
Microsoft has always been that though. They've always seen the curve before it happens.
they're just too early, like every single time.
They're always too early, and they just don't execute well enough.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
I would have to go way back to find the last time they executed something good.
Yeah.
Like, I guess not that far. Like, I think cloud gaming has genuinely been a revelation.
Yeah, I mean, I told you once before, but my nephews are like obsessed with cloud gaming. They love it. I think the only game they have downloaded is Fortnite. They literally play cloud gaming on everything else.
Yeah. And I mean, I like that. They're trying to future proof in any way they can because they've realized that they are not going to be able to make up ground in the home console market. Hence why they're shifting the next Xbox to essentially be a PC and an Xbox shell, which, hey, I think that's kind of great. It's gonna, if they know that eventually PC gaming is the way that most gaming is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You're getting people involved in there early. Let there be some upgradable components like you did, PlayStation did with the PS5. Let me upgrade my hard drive in it. You know how big it would be if they sold kits that were like, hey, go install your own, like, here's how you install more RAM in your console.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't care if you play it on their console or on the PC. You're paying for that game no matter what, or you're paying for a Windows license or whatever.
Yeah. It really just feels like Microsoft is turning that corner, and they want I feel like they want to be just in the PC space, and they're going to create a user-friendly PC to sit under your under your TV, and it's going to
fine with me.
which is going to be branded Xbox, and they're they're gonna figure out how to work the backwards compatibility of current Xbox consoles into their Windows 12.
That's the big one for me.
That's like,
you have to do that.
Once they do that, then it's over, right?
Yep.
In terms of just like a traditional console from Xbox. So they just want to be in that space. They'll continue to make hardware, but it'll be similar to like, oh, well, they have Windows, right? But a lot of people make desktop PCs or laptops, right? But they also have their Surface line,
Yeah.
The Xbox brand will just be their, gaming brand, I guess. Or they'll partner with someone like Asus. They seem to have a really good partnership with Asus, right? So
yeah, it's been reported for a little while that Microsoft will probably outsource the production of whatever box they make or their handheld to somebody else. I don't know if that will be with Asus necessarily, but it does feel like that's the way that the tea leaves are starting to be read.
Mm-hmm.
The Project Kenan, whatever it fucking is, that Jez Gordon was reporting on a couple weeks ago, and we talked about on this last episode. It feels like that is the testing ground to see if people are actually interested.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you are, great. Then we can pull full steam ahead. And I think that the first wave of these will still be made in-house. But this next generation, make no mistake, this will be the last generation Xbox personally makes themselves.
Yeah.
I think that they will continue to keep somebody on like Jason Ronald as leading like device development with partners.
Mhm.
And you'll start seeing like that made for Xbox branding or something, or
Yeah.
they'll partner with Asus to make sure that the Xbox guide button is on there. Like that's the
Yeah.
big thing, I think.
And you'll see those like green stickers that they have been putting on like monitors and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Built for Xbox or whatever.
hmm Which really is just the way to ease those of us with apprehensions about PC gaming into this space.
Mhm.
And they're going to be like, hey, we shoved really great specs into this handheld. You don't actually have to go PC, but you're going to get access to these other stores, because I can't imagine GOG is not a part of this also at some point. You'll have access to like the 4 biggest stores on the net.
Mhm.
Playing Itch is incredible for finding some indie games, right?
Mhm.
Um,
And like Xbox can help facilitate that too
mhm.
with ID at Xbox also, right? I mean,
Sure. I would be shocked if they didn't have their own like ID at Xbox section, but they have to completely redesign the store because the store sucks.
mhm.
It sucks. But all 3 of the platforms for consoles suck with online stores. They're all bad.
I don't know, man. That Switch one's pretty good.
That Switch one's pretty shit. That thing has lagged since 2017, and it's only gotten worse with time. And it's also just, at least Xbox doesn't have a bunch of shovelware shit, or at least as much of it.
Yeah.
There is a lot of that on PlayStation and Switch, especially. Switch is terrible about it. So it does give me hope that, like, oh, if you have something like that, like, okay. And also, like, you can just, like, kind of deal hunt for who's going to have the best deal on a game, which, spoiler, a lot of time it's Steam or GOG. Nobody cares about the Epic Store except for Fortnite. So the Riot client would probably be a part of it at some stage. But man, you really have a chance to do maybe the most revolutionary thing in gaming since the Switch came on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of, are you going to be able to seize this opportunity, or are you going to step on the rakes you've laid out for yourself again already, which I know are already there because it's Microsoft. Keep Aaron Greenberg away from it. I say that jokingly, but not really.
Yeah.
Next story up. VGC is reporting that multiple publishers are ready to delay their games to avoid the GTA 6 onslaught. And at least 2 live service developers have said they will shift major updates.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at the moment.
Who do we think are the ones ready to delay games? Microsoft has to be one of the publishers ready to delay games. It's not even a question.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not
Other than Call of Duty, you better be ready to shift everything.
Yeah. Yep.
So, market analysts are expecting GTA 6 to be by far their biggest release of 2025, and multiple major publishers are prepared to move their own releases in order to avoid it. Rockstar Games always suck a lot of money and, more importantly, time out of the market, said the boss of one of the world's biggest game publishers. We don't want to be anywhere near that. We are working out multiple different plans for our titles. Another senior exec is said to have added, even without GTA, it's immensely difficult to find free time for new games to shine. Time is a real scarcity for us, not money. It's tough out there. A third AAA publisher based in Europe said their most significant concern is if GTA launches at the end of October or early November, giving it little space to maneuver its own titles. We don't want to launch just before or after this game. If it arrives in late October, that means you either have to launch early, which a lot of people seem to be doing with a recent glut of summer release dates, or go later, putting you up against Black Friday sales. Also, would take you out of contention for a lot of Game of the Year nominees. The 2 developers of top 10 live service games suggest they would move significant updates out of the way of the GTA 6 launch window. It is a huge meteor. We will stay clear of the blast zone, said one studio boss. We will nudge our release dates back or forward 3 weeks to avoid it. Of course, the problem is everyone is going to do the same. For 3 or 4 weeks before or after GTA 6, you're going to get a load of games dropping content in what they believe will be the safe zone. Andrew Wilson has suggested the same to move the new Battlefield game. So Microsoft has to be one of these. I don't even think it's a question that Microsoft is absolutely one of the ones in either category that is ready to move shit.
Yeah.
They're not worried about Call of Duty. Call of Duty is maybe the one franchise that will be totally fine.
Yeah, and I also think if Nintendo puts out something major, something like Mario related, I think they're
Yeah,
fine.
if it's Mario, if it's 3D Mario, and obviously like Pokemon Legends, like Nintendo will survive it. Metroid will get steamrolled.
Yeah,
I love Metroid. It will get fucking steamrolled here.
yeah.
So I do think that it's funny because like Microsoft and Nintendo are probably it's probably two of the three here. EA clearly is concerned. I would say, I mean, 2K obviously already has their own plans because Borderlands is coming out in September. So
I'm shocked that they're gonna put out so many games in the same like
window.
Yeah, because like I mean, you got to remember they put out 2K every year in September also.
2K is another one of those though that like it's going to survive no matter what. It's going to do its sales.
I know, but it's usually the sports people that also play GTA.
Oh, I know. GTA is one of the very few franchises that like transcends pop culture.
Yeah.
For games, so like again, like the estimates is that it's going to pull in over $1 billion just in pre-orders alone.
Yeah.
So
insane. Will you be pre-ordering GTA, Josh?
Yes. It's unless it somehow costs more than $70.
Yeah,
I do believe this will be I mean, obviously, this is going to be a $70 priced game. There was speculation that it was going to be $100, and I have said that I will not pay $100 for this game.
No.
It better come with like tons of shit for GTA Online if I have to spend that much. But GTA 6, I will 100% be there. I'll pull up day one. I've never bought a GTA game on day one.
Yeah, I never have either.
I haven't.
I got Vice City. I think
I got GTA 5 when it first came out on PS5 because it came with my PS5 in that holiday bundle. And then I promptly turned around and sold it so I could buy other PS5 games. So
I never played GTA 5.
I have a lot of opinions on GTA 5. I think GTA 5 is a really, really solid game. I actually really like the storyline of GTA 5. I think that the three characters are fascinating. But everybody comes away from it being like, Trevor. So you don't like Trevor at all. I think he's an interesting dynamic to have in that. And I totally understand the story that he has like with Michael and Franklin. But like Franklin is like the real, damn, I really like this character of GTA 5. So I do like it. I've obviously played through the whole storyline. I've gone back and played a few missions here and there that I just really liked and I wanted to play again. Some of the earlier heists with all three of those guys are just a blast. But yeah, I played a lot of GTA Online when it came to Xbox One. I played a lot of it. I played a lot of GTA 5 during COVID because it took it coming to Game Pass for me to finally play it. It came to Game Pass right around the beginning of COVID, and that's when I played through GTA 5 story, and I was like, damn, this is actually like pretty good. I hadn't played a GTA game. I skipped 4 entirely. I hadn't played a GTA game since San Andreas. So it was kind of weird coming back after like 15 years. And then I played a lot of GTA Online for those first 5-6 months of COVID. I played a lot of that in Sea of Thieves, funny enough.
Crazy.
I played with a whole group that was really into heisting, and it was a blast. Now, part of it was they had all the shit for the heist, so it was a lot more fun. It wasn't as hard. Right. It was a lot. Flying motorbikes shooting rockets are a little wild.
Yeah, it seems like it would make it a little bit more fun, huh?
Just a little bit, but I really did like the heisting element of GTA Online. That's the only thing I cared about in GTA Online, but it was fun. I liked that. Yeah, I'll pull up day one for this. It's going to be the biggest game of the year. Why wouldn't I be there?
I mean, that's fair.
It's funny because there's so many other games I'm excited for, like Ghost of Yotei, and this was just like far and away going to be the most anticipated game for anybody this year. So we will see how that one goes, but that was big. It should be noted, going into our next story, this story was broken by The Game Business, which is a brand new outlet from former GamesIndustry.biz editor Chris Dierig and Jeff Keighley.
Ooh.
Boy, I don't know how I feel about this one. I
Seems
love
like a
Chris.
little bit of a conflict of interest, huh?
Chris Dierig is maybe the best writer on the actual business of games that I've ever read. On the numbers and stuff, if he's reporting, numbers and things like that, I believe him over just about anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't really love the idea of Jeff Keighley bankrolling this. I don't love it.
Yeah, seems a little.
And that's after I'm saying that, like, I am a big fan of Jeff Keighley's old work, like Final Hours. Huge fan of Final Hours.
Yeah.
Those are like the like OG looks at game studios. Like, I love those. I liked a lot of the content he did with G4 back in the day. I think the Game Awards is an abomination. And I think it is an embarrassment to an industry that desperately wants to be seen as serious.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
So that being said, I am very excited about Chris himself. Chris is probably I can't even say probably, he is straight up one of the absolute best writers about the actual business of games that there is. Him doing a couple shows a week is a big deal for me. He's going to get great interviews. I know that. Like, Chris is somebody that when Chris talks about something, I pay a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. I've followed Chris for quite a while. I've been a fan of his work, going back to when he joined the games industry. So he used to do, one of the things that he used to do at games industry was best place to work awards, and just something out of his initial newsletter says that was his proudest project. There was so much legitimate criticism leveled at game companies for toxicity, crunch, and poor diversity. I wanted to find the businesses that were doing things right and have them share their expertise with everyone else. I'm grateful to my old bosses for letting me do that, but year over year I've had less time to do those things, so I've taken a risk, walked away from the best job I've ever had, and started from scratch. The need for good business media has never been higher. The seismic shift in the industry has endured, has been heartbreaking, and it's not over, and the future remains uncertain. So what can I put together to help video game people navigate these challenges, identify opportunities, and there are opportunities, and find a way forward? And what does a next generation game business publication look like? What I've come up with is Game Business, a new media outlet that will meet game professionals where they are at. And we're not just talking about studio and publishing bosses, but everyone working across the industry, and even those outside of it who want to understand a bit more about what makes this business tick. We'll be covering what's selling, trending, and struggling. We'll be analyzing established and emerging platforms, distribution, monetization, new markets, policy changes, player behavior, the battle for time in a world without any, and so much more. He's going to do it in two ways. Game Business Show, which are video podcasts and interviews that are 30 to 45 minutes in length, will take place twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then he's going to be doing a newsletter. So if you are familiar with Substack, that's basically what it is. I'm very excited for this. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with this.
Yeah. Also, should be noted that they are doing a live event Monday, June 9th in Los Angeles as part of Summer Game Fest. That probably gives you a hint that the Xbox show is going to happen on June 8th, if I'm a betting man.
Yeah.
Because that's the day before. I would imagine that that's all just going to kind of roll together, of course. But it's going to be a live conversation between Chris and Jeff, which I'm going to reserve judgment here. I do think that there are opportunities here, but the thing to me is Chris is a guy who has integrity. Like, he very well is aware of conflict of interests, and on their about page, he actually writes, this is going to be the last thing that I say. Game Business is backed by Jeff Keighley, creator of the Game Awards, but exists as an editorially independent publication. I'm really, really hoping that that's what it is. So
Yeah, let's hope
And
it's
this actually is a Substack. It just has its own URL. So
right. Look, let's just hope it stays that way and is uninfluenced by that.
I
Which,
think it will be, because part of the reason that I feel that, and this is just my own interpretation, part of the reason I think Chris walked away from games industry was games industry got bought by IGN.
oh yeah, along with every other publication.
Right. And that's why I think it's important that he is doing his own thing, because again, Chris is the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best of the best.
Yeah,
So
he seems to have some integrity behind him and some obviously talent and knows
yes,
his way around the industry. So if this was somebody else, I would question it way more. But
he's one of the only people that has struck out to go independent as a journalist that I am like, yeah, you're actually going to get like really, really, really good info out of it. Steven Totillo is the other one, the former editor in chief of Kotaku.
mm-hmm.
We talk about him all the time. He's always got stories that we're reporting.
Yeah.
His Substack is one of the best out there. It's one of the when I talk about games media, like we got asked a question on Tower Casuals last week about game review scores and about review scores at like legacy outlets and whatnot. I don't really like legacy media. The only legacy media I did like got killed and got brought back. That's our next story, which I guess we should just roll into.
Yeah.
Game Informer's back.
Yeah, interesting.
Things I did not have on my bingo card.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was flipping through YouTube actually on Saturday night, I think,
Uh huh.
and I'm still subscribed to their YouTube channel. Just because I'm too lazy to go in and unsubscribe to stuff.
Sure.
But like, like the last thing that was posted was a short, and I'm like, and I scrolled by it the first time. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. And I scroll back up to look for something else, and I stopped there and looked. I was like, this was uploaded 4 hours ago. I was like, what's going on? And then I on Blue Sky, I saw a couple Game Informer people that I follow like start liking it and whatever their version of retweeting is, and I was like, huh, are they really coming back? Because I had heard the rumor that they were pitching either Game Informer or a magazine like Game Informer around to try to keep that
Sure.
team together, right?
Sure.
Alex Van Aken told me that at PAX West. I had a conversation with Brian Shea about it, and
Yeah, big friend of the show, Brian Shea.
yeah, part of the Bossies. It's back, and Gunzilla Games is
Yeah.
doing
So therein lies my problem. I'm glad you brought them up first. Oh boy, I was real excited until I saw Gunzilla Games. Gunzilla, for those who are unfamiliar, because I had heard the name float around before, is a company that is working on blockchain, Web3, and NFT games. And oh boy, I don't know if you guys know this, I fucking hate all three of those things. Now, that being said, they are backing them. They are saying that they are remaining independent. We'll see how good that goes. This clearly has been in the works for a while, because the website went live a day or two ago and had
backdated stories.
backdated stories. But then today, I think it was posted today for the first time, they had 25 games that came out between the time Game Informer shut down and this month, leading all the way up to Assassin's Creed Shadows. And they were actual reviews with scores. The entire team is back. Alex said on Twitter that everybody received a raise also.
Yeah,
Much
and a couple
needed
of them got
raises.
promotions.
Yeah, several of them got promotions, including Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Miller is back as the editor in chief. This is genuinely incredible news. I hope for nothing but the best. I'm going to remain skeptical, not just because of the conflict of interest, but also because it's a blockchain company, and we've seen how fast those can go under. And
but I think this is what I think. Actually, I think they're investing in Game Informer because it will be a steady form of income potentially to offset any kind of bad moves that they make.
Sure.
You know?
Also, print magazine coming back.
I know. I'm excited.
I'm very interested to see, because I don't think this is going to be a monthly thing. I think this will probably shift to being quarterly, which is totally fine for a physical magazine in today's day and age.
Yeah, and it seems like they're going to focus more on interviews and features and stuff in the magazine.
Sure.
This is all things that
They
I've
don't
heard
have to sell
secondhand, right?
products as much as they did when they were attached to GameStop. Let's just call
Right.
it what it is.
And it looks like they're going to maybe focus more on like video stuff, which is
Yeah,
probably
if you're
better.
retaining your entire video team and giving a guy like Alex, who fully deserves this, by the way,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
a promotion, that's pretty important, I would say, for your
Mhm.
video team. So I'm stoked. I'm very that's 2 outlets in a week that we've had announced that I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about, but I really love the leadership at both.
Mhm.
So, I mean, with Matt and Brian still leading Game Informer, that gives me a lot
Mhm.
of hope there. I don't think that if they felt there was a conflict of interest, I don't think they would have stayed.
Yeah.
I want to be honest. Those guys are very, they're
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. I always felt like Game Informers, I mean, for the last decade at least, even longer, like I always felt like that team, despite the reputation of GameSpot and GameStop, was always like they were always true and good. Like they had good intentions all the time, right? Like
I
it
still don't
felt
know
like
if you've had a better EIC in games media in like the last 20 years than Andy McNamara.
yeah.
So, and Andy was a guy who came up from within.
Yeah. I mean, he
He's talked
started
about
there.
it a lot, that
Yeah.
he tweeted about it this week, how surreal it was that the Sonic the Hedgehog account was welcoming Game Informer back with a shot of the very first Game Informer ever, which was a cover story on Sonic.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is such a huge full circle moment, because he had been working at GameStop and then started writing for Game Informer, was the editor in chief like within a year or two, and stayed there until he left to go work for EA.
Yeah. He's still there, right?
Yeah, he's still at EA. Andrew Reiner, who had been there almost as long as him, took over as the editor in chief for about a year or two, and then he left for Gearbox. He's still there.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt Miller is just like the third editor they've ever had, and Game Informer is a place that retains their people. Like, short of this fucking GameStop layoffs, they retain their people.
Yeah.
So,
People don't leave on their own volition.
no, and for what it's worth, games industry was very similar to that.
Yeah.
As well. Rebecca Valentine, we talk about her stories a lot. She went to go work for IGN. She got her first big gig in games was writing for games industry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
very, very excited for both of these outlets. I've signed up for the Substack for Game Business, and I've signed up to get information on Game Informer. Obviously,
cool.
we're very excited to have them back in our stories.
Yeah, cool thing too is like you can go look at if you have a Game Informer account, not even a paid one, you can go look at the last 130 issues for free on their website.
Yeah,
which is cool.
That's 10 years of Game Informer.
Yeah.
So I really love that. I think it's going to be harder, obviously, to get further issues back, but I would really love to go back and be able to read like some of the stuff from around the launch of the GameCube and Xbox, because that was when I first started reading Game Informer when I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not something you should have been giving to a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
There were a lot of advertisements for, well, let's just say video games were marketed way differently in 2001 than they are in 2025.
Yeah, they were.
I learned what a booth babe was a little bit too young in life.
Were they handcuffed to DSs or whatever Nintendo had out at the time?
I mean, this would have been the GameCube reveal, so no. But that's how I learned about Zelda. That I reference the Halo Combat Evolved review every chance I get. That's
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna reference the Halo booth babes. Remember that?
No. I remember, but like hearing like stories of E3, and I was just like, oh, that's weird. Like, I don't remember who wrote it, but it was one of the guys who had been there forever, and it just shows you how much games media has changed. But like talking about like pissing in sinks at the E3 bathrooms and stuff because like they were so filled up with like people getting sick from like parties and whatnot. And it's like, oh, thank God that like this frat boy culture has disappeared in the last 25 years. So for the most part,
in some places,
in some yeah, let's not even say for the most part, like in some places it has. So
yeah.
Overall, though, really excited for these two legacy publications to be coming back. Well, for a new publication and for Game Informed to be coming back. The games media is better when folks like Brian and Matt and Chris are reporting and reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a better industry overall. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. And, you know, they're not owned by a major corporation. Neither one of these are owned by a major corporation, which is really important. We've talked about Steven Totillo and GameFile. Like, that's been one of the more important publications post-COVID, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Schreier is over at Bloomberg, still fighting the good fight. But it's really important to me that people who don't have corporate overlords sitting over them are here because GameSpot is owned by CBS, and just about everybody else is owned by Ziff Davis at this point.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Yeah.
So that creates a monopolization, and we talked about that before. And no need to relitigate that, but it is a problem. You know, one of the only ones that really was independent and doing independent reporting was Kotaku. Of course, Kotaku has had its share of problems over the years. A lot of those editors who left or got laid off actually made Aftermath about a year ago. Maybe not even a year ago. I'm probably just misremembering things, but Aftermath is another good one that I like to read. They do really good features over there. So yeah, support independent games media.
Yeah,
we talk about this all the time. You know, you don't like scores. You don't like, IGN said this, even though it's like 15 different people that you're talking about in regards to scores on a series. Like, good, go support independent media like this.
Josh, I have one important question about Game Informer.
Hit me with it.
What will be their first super replay?
Jesus Christ.
I hope they revisit Blue Stinger. It's my favorite one.
I hope they just pluck like some really obscure like Super Nintendo game. Like, they have so much stuff that they can go and cover now that has happened. I did like that they had a 10 out of 10 thrown in into all this, and that was Astrobot.
Yeah.
Some of the quick reviews that I read, Astrobot got a 10 out of 10. Avowed got an 8.25, I believe. Metaphor got a 9. And Assassin's Creed Shadows had an 8. So, yeah, just thumb through some reviews real quickly. Just clicked on a few that I was like, oh, hey, I've either enjoyed these games or, you know, there's a lot of discourse around these, what they get. So, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle got a 9 as well, I believe. Is Game Informer recommended?
Not arguing that.
No, not at all. Not at all, my friend. But they are already back to work publishing stories. There's a lot about the Nintendo Direct today. And it's great, man. It's great. I'm so happy that they've done this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty brutal that the last story that they published before coming back was the Bungie layoffs. And then the next one is the Control multiplayer spinoff on March 24th. So that's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Other games they gave really good reviews to. I'm just scrolling through these real fast. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, 9.5. Citizen Sleeper 2, which I'm very excited to play and I need to get to, 9.5. Donkey Kong Country Returns, 8.75. Indiana Jones, 9. Marvel Rivals, an 8.5. Veilguard was an 8. Sonic Shadow Generations, 8.5. Batman Arkham Shadow, 8.75. Neva, a 9. Silent Hill 2, 8.75. Zelda Echoes of Wisdoms, 8. Mouthwashing, 8.75. Trying to find anything else. Space Marine 2, an 8. Of course, we just talked about Astrobot, got a perfect 10 out of 10. Star Wars Outlaws, 8.5. They have been really clear on a lot of these, though, that all of these, if they had updates at any point, it is the most recent version of the game that they reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically were like, there is no fair way to do this, essentially, but that was how they could do it. And last but not least, certainly not least, Monster Hunter Wilds 8.75. So very, very, very excited to see Game Informer back and to see Chris's new outlet. All right. We have a few more things to cover here, Corey. I'm going to try and make these as quick as possible. I think we got two more stories.
Quite a beefy show tonight.
Quite a beefy show. I think we got one more. We got one more big story, and then we've got some Game Pass stuff to talk about. Ubisoft has, in fact, sold a minority stake to Tencent and has created a new subsidiary.
Great.
Tencent owns 25% of it. Yves Guillemot wrote an internal memo that Insider Gaming and Tom Henderson got a hold of. It is a 1.16 billion euro investment. The terms of partnership are straightforward, and this is all directly from Yves. We will establish a dedicated subsidiary within Ubisoft that will bring together our three most powerful franchises, Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and Far Cry. This subsidiary will gather the teams working on these brands primarily in the studios of Montreal, Quebec City, Sherbrooke, Sangoe, Barcelona, and Sofia. Tencent will be a 25% shareholder of the new subsidiary with the aim of boosting these franchises so they become undisputed global icons. The historic agreement is, above all, a recognition of the extraordinary work you've been doing for years. The value of these three brands directly reflects your individual and collective talent and efforts, which have allowed us to create these blood franchises.
Okay. Sounds like a...
Yeah. This is rough.
That's a memo.
The top comment I saw on the Reddit thread said, guess everyone not working on those three IPs should probably start looking for alternative employment. I agree. Jeez. I agree because this is rough. Somebody else listed out active IP Ubisoft is left with. Active, I would say, is something that's had a game in probably like the last 8 to 10 years. It's a rough list. Rabbids, Just Dance, Prince of Persia, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, The Division, The Crew, For Honor, Riders Republic, Trackmania, Settlers, Might and Magic, and Anno. I do not know what at least those last 4 or 5 are. I have no idea what those are.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for you.
I don't know if I want an answer. Dormant IP they are left with. Rayman, Watch Dogs, Brothers in Arms, Driver, Trials, Call of Juarez, Immortals. Remember Immortals? Steep.
Do I?
Warlord, and Pets. Licensed
with a Z, right?
Yes. Yeah. Licensed and published projects Ubisoft is left with. Monopoly, Uno, Avatar, Brawlhalla, Invincible Guarding the Globe, and Star Wars Outlaws. And collective fever dream Ubisoft has is Beyond Good and Evil. I thought that was fucking funny when I read it. This is rough. This is really rough because I don't know what you do if you are working on one of these franchises, like, I don't know what you do. I think they just start selling these off.
Yeah.
Because out of these, like, what do you actually think they would do another game of? Like, they keep saying they're going to do Splinter Cell, but they're not. They'll probably do another Ghost Recon. Just Dance is dog shit, but still makes them some sort of money.
So I don't understand, like, why they made a subsidiary for like Rainbow Six, but none of the other Tom Clancy stuff went over there.
I don't understand how you didn't at least include The Division in this. It would have been easier to say, hey, we're selling all these franchises that aren't like these 4.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah. I mean, this is it's not great, man. It's
there was a follow-up email from their chief studios and portfolio officer, Sophie de Wabert. And in it, they say that I want to emphasize the agreement we announced is a powerful enabler and exciting opportunity. It will help us accelerate our evolution and improve how we make games with greater focus and agility. I want to be clear. If you are not currently working on these brands, it does not mean your work matters any less. This agreement will benefit all of Ubisoft, letting us spark innovation and creativity across the board. In the coming weeks and months, we will work hard to build the best organization possible. This brings some uncertainty and questions. Right now, we do not have detailed answers. We are committed to communicating with you transparently and regularly. Supporting you through this transition is the top priority for your local and global leadership teams.
Supporting you through this transition. What does that sound like, Josh?
Oh, dude, they're getting fucking laid off.
Dude,
I really hate to be that person, but yeah,
two-thirds
this
of this
is
company
terrible.
is gone.
It's not great.
Yeah, dude. First of all, I don't know how they employ 18,000 people
and release so few games. Like, let's be honest. So Rainbow Six is a cash cow for them when it comes to live service.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow Rainbow Six Siege became, against all odds, one of those games. Yeah. Assassin's Creed, which I think that most people are starting to tire of. And then what was our third one? I can't remember. Fucking Far Cry, which I think Far Cry expired like 3 entries ago. I think people stopped caring like 8-9 years ago about Far Cry. I'm going to be totally honest.
Yeah, I don't really know anybody who...
I know one person who played Far Cry 6. One person, and they did not enjoy it. And it's a huge Far Cry fan. So, I don't know. Cool. Whatever.
I think the only Far Cry game I've ever played was 3.
3 and 4 are about the only... I played 1 a very long time ago. Like, right as the 360 came out, I think I played 1. And then I played 3 and 4. I never got around to 5 or New Dawn, but it is worth noting my friend who enjoys these games said that those are 2 of his favorites. And I know that goes against popular opinion. He said just the problem with 5 is it got too on the nose with the religious extremism. And a compound in fucking Montana or wherever it is. So, I mean, out of all this, I mean, I'm looking at these IP. Sell Just Dance to Meta or something, please. Please, let them do something with it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the one that would make them the most money.
If they actually gave a shit. You also have to remember all the music they have to license for those games.
Yeah, but that's why...
And they probably don't want to do that.
That's why Just Dance Plus exists, that subscription service that you can...
God, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I would say out of all of these, Ghost Recon, Prince of Persia, Rayman, Splinter Cell, Division... Brothers in Arms and Trials are probably the only things worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see like when the fire sale starts, because it feels like it's going to be in a matter of months.
Yeah, it's going to be soon.
It's going to be real soon. I mean, the fact that nothing's been done with Rayman in the last 10 years is... Legends was so good too. Yeah. Legends was amazing.
It's amazing.
Legends was so good, I bought it twice, Corey. I bought it for both my Xbox and the Switch. The opening not the opening, but like the first end of the world boss you come to, where Black Betty is playing, is incredible. That is just... It's iconic.
Yeah. I love the music rhythm levels and it's so good.
It's so fucking good. And then they really looked at that, and it sold rather well for them. Mm-hmm. And they looked at that and said, "Nah, we're good."
Yeah. We're gonna make 75 Assassin's Creed games instead.
Oh my god.
Which I like, by the way. I love Assassin's Creed, but come on.
Reviewed well. Like, bro, this game came out so long ago. It came out on the Vita.
This was like remember that time when Ubisoft was actually making like interesting smaller games like this and Child of Light and
oh my god, Child of Light and Valiant Hearts are so good.
And like, some of these smaller games that were
Child of Light was a top 4 or 5 game for me the year it came out, and I've always wanted more in that world and never got. I actually hit a point where I could not progress the game anymore because it was so bugged.
And look at the game, like the games that aren't called Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. I mean, look at Prince of Persia earlier last year.
Mm-hmm.
The game was really good, and I know it didn't sell amazingly, but like
incredible.
It was really good, and like your major franchises should be enough to supplement something like that, right? I don't know, man. It's just...
it should be noted that the same studio that made Rayman Legends made Prince of Persia: Lost Crown.
Yeah, and then shut down.
Yep. It sold 1.3 million copies in its first year. That's pretty damn good for a Metroidvania these days. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, this studio should be noted. Rayman Legends, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Valiant Hearts, the King Kong game, and Beyond Good and Evil all came out of Montpellier.
The King Kong game. Like
Montpelier.
King Kong the movie, the game?
Yes, Peter Jackson's King Kong is the full name.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a super storied studio and got
Man,
totally fucked.
that's so rough, man.
It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. I hate Ubisoft so much.
Man,
I,
they
I
used to be
hate
the company
them.
everybody cheered for too, man. You know, especially like during the Vivendi hostile takeover
Yep.
situation, like
This was a studio that like desperately needed a win also because honestly Valiant Hearts was the last thing they put out. They went 10 years between good games. They were reduced to just making like iOS games.
you
And
know when
they've
I you know when I
apparently
think
been
this all
making Beyond Good and Evil 2 for like that whole time.
you know when I think this all started is when that the Watchdog stuff. Like when they showed
Yep.
Watchdogs
Yep.
for the first time and everybody thought it was going to be like the biggest next generation game ever. And that's when I feel like it started going downhill, right? Because what else came out with that? Was that the year Assassin's Creed Unity was rushed out, or was that the year after? I don't know, something like that. But like that's when like the dominoes started to fall, right?
Yeah, I don't think they ever really recovered from it after. That's when the reputation went into the gutter too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Watch Dogs came out very unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like they had these awesome looking tech demos that would come out like The Division and Watch Dogs, and then the games were actually just total shit.
Yeah.
So in response to your question, I am looking to see when Watch Dogs released. Yeah, Watch Dogs released May 2014, and that fall was Assassin's Creed Rogue and Unity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was that year, and it's so funny because in that same year, you also in 2014, these are other games that they released that were hailed as great. Rayman Legends comes to the PS4 and Xbox One. South Park: The Stick of Truth comes out. Trials Frontier and Trials Fusion, Child of Light, Valiant Hearts, and that's back when Just Dance still mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And then Far Cry 4 comes out in November. Aside from the Watchdog, but we only remember Watch Dogs and Unity coming out that year and being just total shit.
Yeah.
Even though Far Cry 4 was great, it was on a lot of people's end of the year lists. That was what, a year into the generation. So like they were through the first year of the new consoles, it was like, oh my god, like they're crushing it. That happens. Oh, The Crew also came out, and then it gets rough. It gets real rough. They had a few games like Grow Home came out the next year. That was an underrated one for them, I feel. And it starts getting rough.
Yep.
From there, it just gets rough. Siege comes out the next year, and then you get things like, remember Far Cry Primal? I sure as hell don't.
I do, because the big knock against that game is that it used the same exact map as Far Cry 4. They just put grass and trees over everything because there are like cars in the bottom of the lake in there, and they're like, and this is supposed to be like
It's
a
like
prehistoric game.
it's wild because like they still were doing some creative things. That Trials of the Blood Dragon came out that year. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Far Cry Blood Dragon is one of the best expansions we've ever gotten. Watch Dogs 2 then comes out. Steep comes out, and God, it's just oof. It's all rough. Mario Rabbids
Yeah.
was a thing that was good. South Fractured But Whole was good.
Yeah. I mean, both those South Parks games.
Yeah, both the South Park games. One of them from Obsidian, and it's just like they've had definitely some hits over the years, but they just never got back. Remember Starlink?
Yeah.
I bought it just
The,
for the R Wing.
the best Star Fox game since Star Fox 64. Yeah, I said it.
It's more of a sigh that I know you're right. Although I am a defender of Star Fox Assault because Sega made it and it was fun. But yeah, it's rough across the board. It's just like, oh my god, like guys, what happened?
Yeah.
Just what happened? Like even having some good Assassin's Creed games, like just didn't save you. Like Origins, I remember Origins came out and people were not stoked for Origins because it was like we're tired of Assassin's Creed games. They're just not good.
Yeah.
But that got a bit of a following over the next year, and then Odyssey came out. Odyssey was like their biggest hit in years, I feel.
Yeah. I mean,
With
Odyssey.
casual fans, not something that like got players over time, like For Honor or something.
Yeah. Odyssey was awesome. I loved Odyssey.
Odyssey is like still a top 2 Assassin's Creed for me.
Yeah.
It is at the lowest. It is a top 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so bad things happening at Ubisoft. I feel really bad for everybody over there. It's going to be bad. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but yeah, it's getting even worse. We have some Game Pass stuff to talk about before we get out of here, though. Game Pass added free-to-play freebies this week.
Ooh.
Yeah, free-to-play freebies. And this is for players on both console and PC. Heroes of the Storm. If you link a Battle.net account to Game Pass, you unlock 30 heroes automatically for that. That is Blizzard's MOBA, of course. Naraka Blade Point. If you log in with your Xbox account, you will get all heroes, special themed Xbox headwear, and the Phoenix Princess pack. Smite 2 gets you a welcome pack, which includes 5 playable gods, a new skin for Hecate, an emote, and a title. And then the finals, if you link your Embark ID to Xbox, will give you the Striker Grid Set, which has an outfit, 3 weapon skins, a charm, and 25% boost to match XP, as well as 500 multi-bucks. Multi-bucks. Of course, this adds to free-to-play perks that are already available for the 160 champions in League of Legends, the Wings of Fate gift in Genshin Impact, and all agents unlocked, and day one access to new agents in Valorant. That was part of that gigantic Riot collaboration that they had.
Right.
Which actually is like, it's really understated how big that is.
Yeah.
So the official Xbox Wire post. I'm reading all this from GameSpot. There is an Xbox Wire post I'm going to pull up too. Even more titles will be added to the perk list in April, with Call of Duty Warzone, Enlisted, Asphalt Legends Unite, and War Thunder specifically mentioned. And of course, on the little trailer they released, you can clearly see Overwatch 2. I think there's already Overwatch 2 benefits. I don't remember off the top of my head though. But the graphic that they released for this does have Warzone, League, Finals, and Overwatch 2 on it. Yes, an existing benefit is there are 6 skins available in Overwatch 2. So, cool. Like, all right, Team Fight Tactics also has stuff. Legends of Runeterra still has stuff. That's big. Hey, free to play is the way that a lot of these games are going, so why not partner with them? And it'll probably provide a boost to some of these games like the finals that haven't quite hit those initial launch numbers ever again.
Right.
But I mean, things like Heroes of the Storm is still fairly popular. Naraka Blade Point and Smite 2 may not be super popular to us. They're huge overseas though.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get into that market still. So hey, that may not do numbers for us. I bet in Japan, Korea, China, those are going to be 2 really big ones, though.
Yep. I agree.
And then we have one final story, and it's, of course, the new Game Pass releases. I felt like we needed to cover this because there's some interesting stuff. Oh, I take that back. I have one more non-Game Pass story for us. Just a quick little thing. Pillars of Eternity 1 has received a new update 10 years after launch.
What?
Or will be receiving it this year, I should say. Turn-based combat is finally coming to Pillars of Eternity 1.
That's cool.
That is very cool that they are going back to this after all these years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like when companies do this. I mean, I know Obsidian has kind of earned the right to do this, right? But like, man, I love when companies go back and update games to make them.
I think also part of this is because of the renewed interest in CRPGs because of Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously Avowed
tied
to it, right? So
Yeah, I wanted to read a little bit. This is specifically a quote from Obsidian. We've been hard at work delving deep into the code grimoire and tuning the balance of blade and spell, and today we're excited to share the results of that effort with a brand new patch. Update addresses a wide range of fixes and improvements across visuals, combat, quests, and more. Coming later this year, Watchers will help us test a brand new feature, turn-based combat. We're excited to explore this new way to experience encounters and pillars, and your feedback will help shape its future. We will share information on how to participate in the near future on socials and in Discord. Pillars of Eternity was billed as a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate alongside other classics such as Icewind Dale and Planetscape Torment. We've talked about Josh Sawyer. Josh Sawyer worked on Icewind Dale back in the day, and of course is, kind of the godfather of Pillars of Eternity as far as I'm concerned. There is some irony in the fact that Pillars of Eternity this is from Games Radar, hewed more closely to the fundamental feel of Baldur's Gate than Baldur's Gate 3 did, and Obsidian is now offering the same turn-based approach Larian proved the popularity of. Obsidian actually started bringing turn-based combat to Pillars well before BG3, adding the feature to Pillars 2 back in 2019. The implementation of turn-based combat for Pillars 2 is broadly seen at best as a bit odd by series fans, since the game was originally designed around the real-time system with tons of combat encounters, and all those fights drag down the pace of the game when you're pausing to tactically complete each one. Pillars 1 will likely suffer a similar caveat, but this option can still be a great way to offer a new way in for RPG fans falling in love with Avowed's world and Baldur's Gate 3's combat. I am just I'm so excited. I'm so fucking excited about this. This also ties into another Avowed story that I had forgotten about, that they have said that there will be ongoing support and a roadmap coming soon. So I would imagine that we get a DLC announcement at Summer Showcase.
Yeah,
I
would imagine.
But it will be like Outer Worlds and will not have New Game Plus, but DLC is possible. And they want to do more. The director, Carrie Patel, has said that they want to do more with the RPG after laying the groundwork for sequels and DLCs. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Obsidian stays the best Microsoft studio. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, it's their best acquisition by far since
far when you consider what they paid for it plus what they've put out.
Yeah. Good.
Which they've had, one game that I personally would rate a 10 out of 10 with Pentiment. They have had Grounded. They've now had Avowed. They're going back and still working on Pillars 1, which I want to be clear, I don't think they'd still be doing the stuff on Pillars 1 if they didn't have the backing of Xbox.
Right. And
I wonder if Josh Sawyer fought for that, because he has said that the only way he would come back to Pillars is if they gave him a budget and let him make a game like Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm secretly hoping that's what he's working on, is the makings of Pillars 3.
I bet that's it. Right. I would
wager on that. Yes.
Considering the Baldur's Gate, fumble with Xbox and the Series S, and how popular that game was, and like allowing them to make their own version and kind of get it out everywhere and make that series more,
accessible.
Yeah.
We got a few Game Pass games that have come out, and it's been a uncharacteristically busy couple of weeks for Game Pass since our last show. Octopath Traveler 2, of course, was announced as coming to Game Pass Standard. It's been on Game Pass Ultimate for a while. Mythwrecked came out. That was part of the ID at Xbox showcase a few weeks ago, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Atomfall hit today. I'm very excited to jump into that. I was talking about this with a friend, and it feels like my vibe I get from it the more I see of it. And it's gotten pretty decent reviews, by the way. I think it's got like an 80 on Metacritic.
Yeah, it seems like people are like really enjoying it. It's like
it had really bad promotion.
Yeah,
leading up to the launch. I think like the last couple of weeks is when people are finally like, oh, this is good. Like they got access to review it very early, it feels.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like the vibe I get is like Fallout meets Stalker in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So excited about that. The big one for me, this is interesting. I don't think it's like big, but it's really interesting that it came out. The Blizzard Arcade Collection came out the other day. 5 classic console games to modern platforms and new audiences, including Blackthorn, The Lost Vikings 1 and 2, Rock and Roll Racing, and RPM Racing. You can visit the Arcade Collection Museum to explore a trove of treasures from each game's past, including concept art, music, behind-the-scenes interviews, and more. We've said for a while, like, stuff like this needs to happen. You have access to these old games, just bring them forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to do. Do rare replay style collections, and they'll go over really well. This is something like, yeah, sure, you're going to sell it. Nobody's going to buy this, though, but they'll check it out on Game Pass, and hey, maybe it'll reignite a little bit of interest for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever for people to get interested and invested. I plan on checking out the Vikings games. I've never played any of these, and hey, if I like it for 5 minutes and then turn it off, so be it. But I think that's an interesting approach, considering how agitated Xbox players are starting to get with the lack of Activision Blizzard games coming to Game Pass and backwards compatibility. I think you got to step that up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I would say is the crown jewel of the first quarter of Xbox games on Game Pass, as much as I really, really, really like Avowed. 33 Immortals, man. 33 Immortals is in game preview on Game Pass. It is fucking incredible. I love this game so much.
Yeah.
This is Hades with 33 of your closest friends.
I don't know if I have 33 friends, Josh. I don't know.
Well, lucky for you, a party can only have 4 people in it. I think that the system's a little bit antiquated. You have to share a code with your friends. You can't just invite them. It's really annoying.
Oh, did they steal that from Nintendo?
I guess so. But this game, once you actually play it, is awesome. A full run will likely take you about 25 to 30 minutes because you open up you start exploring, and then gates start to open, torture chambers as they're called. You go and do them. 12 torture chambers have to be cleared throughout the world by the 33 players in order to unlock what they call the Ascension battles. There's 3 platforms you can run to, and think of the storm in Fortnite closing in on you. You go to those, you fight a shit ton of enemies and bosses, and then you quote unquote ascend to face the world boss. And during all this, you're picking up different perks throughout your run because it's randomized. It's a roguelike. But you're also getting currency to get permanent abilities and unlocks, and you're getting XP in order to unlock those. And obviously, the more you do that, the easier your runs get. Very similar to something like Hades, or Hades and Hollow Knight and Dead Cells and games like that. So it's outstanding. I am really loving this game. For a game preview game, it feels very good. It obviously still needs work done, but I'm really, really liking it. And I like that they released it here where there's not a lot of other big games releasing right now. Assassin's Creed notwithstanding. I think this game is going to get an awful lot of love. It's been out for about 8 or 9 days now. Everybody I know is playing this game. Everyone I know who has an Xbox or who has Game Pass or something is playing it. I don't know if it is on Steam or not. I don't think it is. I think it is only on the Microsoft Store, funny enough. Because a friend of mine was complaining that he couldn't find it on Steam and was having to just buy it elsewhere. Which I think really, really annoyed him. Or he was just wrong and couldn't find it because it's on the Epic Games Store. Yeah, he might just be wrong. It's definitely on the...
Who's going to the Epic Games Store?
You're not wrong. It is apparently only available on Xbox, the Windows Store, and the Epic Games Store. Apparently.
That's a combination.
That is a choice. But this game's it's just gonna take off. I know that game preview games don't typically come to PlayStation. Epic and Microsoft clearly paid something to keep it off Steam, but this is absolutely fantastic. It is one of the best games that has come to Game Pass in a very long time. It rounds out a very strong quarter for Game Pass, I feel.
Yeah. No, this is a huge. I mean, this is a busy month, right? I mean, this is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of months, you have now gotten you've gotten this, you've gotten Avowed, you've gotten Citizen Sleeper 2, you've gotten I can't pull up the exact games on me.
I mean, not just that, but think of all the games that are also coming down the line, right?
Yeah, this is fucking massive right now.
Yeah.
They added EA Sports College Football got added today as well. That was the other one I was going to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
That got added today. Just, Jesus Christ. It's been good. It's been really good. So Balatro got added recently. Balatro was added. That's obviously big. But you look at the most played games on the console right now through Game Pass, and it's Balatro, 33 Immortals, and Avowed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you even do with that information?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. It's great. It's a lot though. It is a lot.
It's a lot. Mullet Mad Jack was recently added. I've got friends who are liking that. Sniper Elite Resistance just came out. Eternal Strands, which I still need to get to. Monster Train came back. Watch Dogs Legion and Far Cry New Dawn came. Jedi Survivor has come. Enter the Gungeon is back. It's been really, really solid for them.
Yeah.
Lately. So, and then, of course, you brought up the coming soon. South of Midnight, Expedition 33, Doom the Dark Ages, Tony Hawk 3 and 4, and just announced Towerborn is coming out April 29th in game preview to console Game Pass.
Nice.
Well, if you have Game Pass Ultimate. I do not believe it is coming to just straight up Game Pass Standard. I would be, yeah. None of those are coming to Game Pass Standard, which does not surprise me. They want everyone to go to Game Pass Ultimate, which makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's been great, man. I'm thrilled by this right now.
Yeah,
it's been good. There's a lot more ID at Xbox games coming. By the next time that we do a show, South of Midnight will be out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
Or at least about to come. Yeah, it will have just come out. I'm debating if I'm going to do the early access because it's only like $8 to buy the early access. Kind of depends on what next weekend looks like for me, but I might grab that. I don't mind supporting a studio like that. I've been really clear about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love doing it for smaller single player games. Something like Avowed, I feel, but I bought it for Avowed and then I didn't even get to Avowed. But I love supporting Obsidian, so who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that does it for us for tonight. This is a packed show, but also it's a packed lineup coming out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time, right? I mean, if you have been on the fence for Game Pass, I mean, first of all, why?
Yeah,
but
this is the best run Game Pass has had in a very long time. I was starting to get to the point where I was like, man, I'm still going to keep my Game Pass sub, but there hasn't really been a lot that I've loved. And since October, it's just been, they've had at least something major every single month.
Yeah.
Just in first party alone from October to May will have gotten you, well, not even just first party, but like exclusives will get you Black Ops 6. It'll get you Stalker. It'll get you Flight Sim, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which I know that's technically not an exclusive, but it was announced at a Microsoft event, so whatever. Mm-hmm. Avowed, Towerborn, Doom the Dark Ages, South of Midnight. You've got other bigger indie games coming out like Atomfall. You've gotten Citizen Sleeper 2. Balatro just came to it. Like that lineup alone should be like, if you've been on the fence, that should sell you right there.
Yep.
Those are all quality games.
That they are.
We can't speak to the ones that aren't out yet, but those are exciting. The rest of it is all quality.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you've been on the fence, this is the time. And then add in the free to play perks that are there. I know that doesn't apply to like a lot of us, but they're still there. Mm-hmm. And that's what we envisioned being able to happen with things like Overwatch eventually.
Yep.
Right? And, now you're getting it with Warzone. I'm a little surprised they haven't done it with Black Ops, but I think it's coming. I think it's going to come with Call of Duty at some point like regular Call of Duty at some point this year.
Yep.
It does feel like we're kind of at the point where if you don't nail Warzone right now with the return to Verdansk, that it's over. But Towerborn is getting a huge update when this all comes out. Cross-platform play and progression. Couch co-op, Corey.
Couch co-op. What is that, Josh?
I don't know, but my partner will be really excited to hear about that. I've said for a while this looks like a new gen Castle Crashers. Class skills with a new progression system, reimagined world map and quest line, new enemy types, new umbras, legendary items, gameplay improvements, and social improvements. I cannot wait. I have been very excited about this game for a very, very, very long time. Uh, yeah, South of Midnight's not coming in hot. That and Expedition 33 have both gone gold. That's great news for Microsoft. Something else that's coming that I forgot to mention: Revenge of the Savage Planet is coming to Game Pass.
Right.
That's coming out soon. Like it is. I don't know what else we can really say at this point. One of the games shown today, Witchbrook, is coming to Game Pass day one.
Yeah, that it's like that chocolate or that magical Hogwarts looking.
Yeah, it's Witch Life Sim for up to 4 players. Excited about that. I'll be playing that with my partner. She loves games like that. They've just, man, it's been great for them.
Yeah.
And they needed it because guess what? Sony's been doing really good on PS Plus. You got Lost Records on there. Next month, I'm the only one excited about this, but the RoboCop game is coming to PS Plus. Along with Digimon Cyber Sleuth, but like they've been doing good over there. They got games like Dave the Diver and Animal Well day one on console. So yeah, hey, competition is great for everyone. We always say this. So very exciting.
Yep.
It's been good though, and we're gonna have a big show next week on Tower Casuals with the launch of Act 3 of Heresy. That's gonna be fun to talk about.
Yep.
I've been having a blast the last couple of weeks. My love for Destiny has had time to simmer and come back.
Is it trickling back, Josh? Is it time?
It's definitely trickling back, and I've been really excited. So
nice. You playing anything else, Josh?
no, 33 Immortals is the big one for me. Like I said, this is like the most energy I've had in about a week. I've been very, very sick this week. So I was playing some 33 Immortals, and I plan on firing up Atomfall and Avowed this weekend as I'm kind of recovering. Yes.
You know what I did?
What'd you do?
Bought Monster Hunter.
I'm so proud of you.
I played 3 hours of Monster Hunter last night.
How much do you like it?
Well, here's the thing.
Oh no.
I was in the character creator for like 2.5 hours of it.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
I like a good character creator, and I'm only going to get to do it once.
It's maybe the best character creator in the game.
No, it is the best character creator.
It should be worth noting you can update your character's appearance at any time.
I know, but
so yeah, no, I'm loving mine. I made the character that I ran for the D&D campaign Curse of Strahd last year with my friends. I actually just recreated that character completely in here.
Nice.
Made her the same like type of attacker. So I've been having a lot of fun like role playing that. That's been a blast.
Nice. I was going to start Xenoblade, but my pre-order was delayed and I just got it yesterday and I'm like, well, Monster Hunter's sitting right here, so I'll just play that.
How could this happen to him? He made a mistake.
I already played like 80 hours of it on the Wii U, so this is more of a I just want the updated version of it.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Yeah. Speaking of fair, Josh, I think it's fair that we get out of here.
I think we should get out of here too.
I want to thank everybody out there for watching and or listening to this episode of Xbox Casuals, your favorite Xbox podcast. You can subscribe on podcast services. Leave us a rating and a nice review.
Oh, hang on. Corey. I can't believe I almost forgot this. We actually had a question.
What?
Yeah, I forgot about it until I opened up my Discord.
Rewind.
Yep. So I got to apologize to Jiggly Panda. They sent this in earlier, and it actually was a really good two-parter that I wanted to answer. I meant to bring it up organically earlier. So Jiggly Panda wrote this in this afternoon to me and says, I hope I get this to you in time, but two-part question. One, are you guys excited that indie games are getting... I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. Are you excited that indie games are funded and getting the love and recognition that they deserve? And two, do you think we should drop the distinction between the titles indies and AAA? So we've kind of answered this in a roundabout way, at least part one today.
Yeah. I do think the term indie gets thrown around as more of a marketing term than a real kind of established kind of type of game. But
Yeah,
I
I think
think,
anything over the age of anything over the price of like $20 seems really reluctant to call itself an indie too.
yeah,
Like Stalker 2, that's an indie.
yeah,
Atomfall, that's an indie.
hmm yeah. And so, I think, I just think there's not a better term for smaller games. So, like,
Yeah,
indies is just the
but it
go-to.
very much has become like you're either an indie or you're a AAA. We've talked about the death of the AA game a
Hmm.
lot, and I feel that you're getting that back a little bit with like Kepler. Uh, you
Yeah,
know, producing games like Sifu and Expedition 33. I think you're kind of starting to get that back a little bit with them. We've talked about the return of, Midway Games. There's Midwest Games is out there. Ben
hmm,
Cavallo's Midwest Games. Um,
yeah,
there's companies like that, but pretty much everything that used to be considered like double A or like low end triple A back in the day is now just like full triple A or gone.
yeah. But I actually think within the next 18 to 24 months, I think you're actually going to probably see the rise of double A games in that space because of all the layoffs and
You have to. You
larger
have to.
larger studio or smaller studios will come up and the quote unquote important people that got laid off from these larger studios will form new ones and start making smaller experiences that they feel are budget friendly, right? So uh,
Absolutely.
that would be
You
my guess.
absolutely.
So I mean, I think Midwest Games is just one of a couple examples out there right now, right? Like he came from Blizzard and Netflix games, right? And to been formed this. So uh,
Yeah, and I mean you've got some extremely talented people out there, such as Joe Staten, who is no longer
in
employed.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what some of these studios do for sure, and some of these developers who have been laid off.
Yep. I'm absolutely thinking that
Yeah.
we're back. As for the first part of that question, I wanna backpedal to that a little bit. You give such a good explanation on AAA and indies. I don't really want to add any more to that. Are you guys excited that indie games are getting funded and getting the love and recognition they deserve? Yes. We talked for a while about how the indie gamescape was just getting like kind of overrun with junk.
Hmm.
But that's why I think it's so important when we talk about the work that Shuhei Yoshida was doing with PlayStation, with Nintendo doing the indie directs, with ID at Xbox. We talk about ID at Xbox all the time. It's so important that we have these initiatives because they can't highlight everything, but they can highlight a lot of really high quality indies.
Hmm.
And every single year when we get around to like the end of the year, I'm hearing about all these indies that I never played from friends of mine who play weirder games, or we see the nominations from like the Game Awards or from outlets like IGN and GameSpot and Game Informer that want to highlight the best indies of the year. That's what I love whenever writers have to make up their own lists, and there's always stuff I've never heard of from them.
Hmm.
It's one of the reasons I love Giant Bomb's top tens every year
Hmm.
because Dan Reichert always comes up with
God,
some weird shit that I've never heard of, and I end up playing it. And I'm like, God damn, this is awesome.
yeah.
Every year, there's at least one or two games like that off Reichert's list, and then you turn around and he has Black Ops 6 as like his number 4 game of the year. Um,
So random.
but I do think like when you go and look at something like this selection of games that Xbox curates for Game Pass, we said indie is wide ranging. You have games like Stalker and Atomfall on there, but you also have Citizen Sleeper on there. You also have games, you have games like Citizen Sleeper. You have games like Balatro. Like, indie is such a broad term, but when it is something like Balatro that was made by one person, and
Hmm.
it arguably is the game of the year for 2024. I've played enough Balatro now that I'm fully in that camp. That like, yeah, if I redid my top 10, Balatro would probably make my top 5 because it's so fucking addicting.
Hmm.
One person. One person though, we talk about Pentiment all the time. It's not technically an indie, but it basically had an indie budget made by 8 or 9 people over at Obsidian.
Yep.
including one of the best storytellers in RPGs right now. So you don't have your game doesn't have to be worth $100 million for people to come play it. It can be something you made in your fucking spare time, like Balatro or Tunic. Tunic is another one that I rave about all the time. You know, Tunic was incredible. It started out as a single person game before getting expanded. Pentiment started out as just Josh Sawyer and an artist, essentially.
Yep.
So, like, yeah, it's great. Like the love that indies have received, and I think this is why I'm personally starting to drop the terminology indie like altogether. And we use AAA just as like something to say like, hey, it was fucking expensive, right?
Yeah.
It's just video games. They're
Yeah.
fucking video games. They're not. We don't have to sit here and call them that. I know, like technically, those are their categories. Like as double A's start coming back, yeah, we'll probably start separating things out a little bit more. But goddamn, man, it's the best time for games.
Yep.
It's the best time for games. It doesn't even have to be something that sold like 1 million copies for you to go play it. I played plenty of games that just are not super on people's radars. I'm like, hey, these are really good. There's a lot of indies over the last 5 or 6 years I wouldn't have played without Game Pass just because of like monetary issues, right? And it's like Unpacking is one of my favorite games of the decade, and it was on Game Pass. Humble had this awesome partnership when they were still publishing games with Xbox. They released like 4 or 5 games in a row that were just bangers. Power Wash Sim came out and announced today they've hit 17 million players. That's been a Game Pass staple since it came out.
Yep.
So, no, indies absolutely getting like the fact that a game like Balatro can win Game of the Year from so many different outlets is a huge, huge, huge deal. Hades was one of those a couple of years ago, right? Like, yeah, you don't have to be a $300 million Sony first party game to win Game of the Year anymore. Like, am I happy that Astrobot won? Absolutely. Astrobot's such a gem of a game. But it wasn't my personal game of the year. Like I would have had Balatro over it. I did have Metaphor over it. I've been really clear on that front. Like, does that mean I think it's any less? No. Like we need games like Astrobot. We desperately need people that are not Nintendo to make games like Astrobot. Just like we need creatives who have an idea to just make it. You've never had more tools at your disposal to make your idea into reality.
Right.
So, like, if one person can make Balatro the most addictive game of the year, then any idea can come out. And it's poker, essentially.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
What a weird game to get stuck on.
So fucking good. It's so fucking good, Corey. I love Balatro.
I'm
gonna buy it on my phone. I've been playing it a lot on my Xbox. I'm buying it on my phone. It's gonna be one of those that I buy like 5 different times.
Yeah, it seems like. I mean, it just seems like everybody who touches that game loves it. So I'm glad. I mean, that's awesome. And the cool part is like the guy that made it doesn't want any recognition for it whatsoever, which is just he wants to remain anonymous forever.
Yep. So
so
big fan. Big fan. So great question, Jiggly Panda. Thank you so much. I wish I would have brought that up earlier in the show. Now we can go.
Yeah, now we can go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Josh, thanks for your time. What else? That's it.
Join us next week for Switch 2 discussion.
Yeah, you can watch live, actually. If you want to hear Josh and our friends talk about Switch 2's announcement stuff, which I don't know if you saw on Best Buy Canada, Josh.
I did. I saw that they posted it. They retracted it, and they even had to reach out to Wario64 and say it was wrong. I'm not buying it.
I don't buy it either.
I fully expect to drop like $500 in pre-orders next week.
Those Canadians are always leaking stuff.
We love them. We trust it if it's Walmart Canada,
though. If you want to watch us live, you can watch us on Boss Rush Network's YouTube channel or Twitch channel, or if you are one of those people who are still on X, we stream there. So come hang out, come give your thoughts. We will be switching it up, as they say. So
I hate you. God, get me out of here. You're an abomination. Just get me out.
I know I'm a terrible person. Everybody out there, I want to thank you so much for watching and or listening, and until next time, we love you. Goodbye.